last. Book 3 is here. I'm sorry. I wanted to get this done a week ago, but life is crazy sometimes. So, anyway, we finally have the premiere of the first 3 episodes of Book 3 of Legend of Korra. Next tour coming out tomorrow. Very excited. So, I'm going to continue the vlogs that I did for the last book. I am not going to bother repeating my various and somewhat torn thoughts on that season. Look into the description for links to my blog where you can read about them if you want, or you can go back and watch those old videos yourself. I'm not going to say anything to how this book got started, the whole fiasco with some of the episodes getting leaked and then Nickelodeon completely rushing ahead with their old, completely scrapping their original advertising plan. It's just kind of a given now. I'm taking it as kind of a given now that Nickelodeon is determined to shoot themselves and this franchise in the foot as often as possible. This has been going on ever since the first show wasn't even finished yet. I mean, it sucks, but what can you do? So, the new episodes, not going to worry about that, not going to worry about, whether or not how this is affecting the ratings. The new episodes, what do I think? I'm going to do a brief plot summary of all 3 episodes. So the big turning point seems to be that because of harmonic convergence, not only is the spirit world encroaching in the human world, especially in Republic City, which kind of makes sense because that was where the battle was. We haven't seen any other places of the world where this is happening, so for now we have to assume it's just Republic City. So the spirits and vines from the spirit world, don't know if there's a reason for it being vines, are encroaching into Republic City, and Korra ends up getting kicked out of the city because she's not able to remove them. Her aggressive tactics don't work. Her attempt at softer spiritual bending that she learned from Tarlok 2.0 in the last season backfires horribly. So she gets kicked out, but they learned that, and they learned this through Boomy, that because of harmonic convergence, a lot of people seem to have spontaneously developed the ability to airbend. Including, they find this out because Boomy starts airbending. I really wish they had not had that in the trailer. It's a great reveal, and I really wish they kept that a surprise because it's a great start to the season. So they decide that since they're kicked out of Republic City, which I'm all for, I'm kind of sick of that place. Since they've been kicked out of Republic City, the gang, so everyone, will go out and look for the new airbenders so that they can bring them to one of the temples and basically rebuild the Air Nation. What I like about this is it's a setup that doesn't immediately promise a big climactic battle at the end. I'm sure we're going to get that, especially given who our villains are. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the first 2 books of Korra both immediately set up this big conflict or almost immediately set up this big conflict that was going to take up most of the series. I like the fact that they're starting out with something a bit smaller here. They're going with more of a Last Airbender-y adventure, and the second and third episodes they're going from place to place, trying to find these airbenders and finding that these people don't want to come with them. They don't want to give up their lives and just become air nomads, which I don't know if this was a direct influence for this, but it reminded me very much of the extended universe in Star Wars, where when Luke Skywalker starts looking for new Jedi, he has to make compromises. He has to just get rid of some old rules, especially concerning marriage, because he realizes that otherwise no one's going to come with him, and he can't rebuild the Jedi Order. I feel this feels a lot like that in this show, where they're going to have to find some way to convince these airbenders to join them without just saying, you're an airbender, you have to join us now. Because it backfires terribly when they try it. Tenzin tries it his way, Korra tries it their way, and they both fail. And it looks like we're finally getting the development we need from Korra in this regard. And a lot of it looks like we're already getting some great scenes with her and Tenzin, which were sorely lacking in the last book. So that's the storyline following them in the first 2 episodes, and then parallel to that, we get the hint of who our villains are going to be. There's apparently this team of 4 incredibly dangerous fighters, one of whom I guess was not a bender beforehand, but is now an airbender, who uses his newfound abilities to surprise his White Lotus guards, break out of jail, and then he goes and frees his friends. A dude who is an earthbender, and an armless girl who can waterbend. She waterbends the water into arms. And it's fantastic. I think that might be my favorite use of waterbending yet in the show, because it's so, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not like a monkey. It's not like any particular animal, like the way she kind of swings herself. It's more fluid than that. But it's wonderful. It's incredibly inventive, and I'm really excited to see what they do with these guys. Finally, we're back to, great Avatar villains. So, and then they go, the three of them, so he frees those two. And then it becomes clear that the last person in their gang to be freed is his girlfriend, who quite obviously is the girl from the trailer with Combustor Man's forehead eye. So I don't know how much detail we're going to get about this power, whether or not it's something that can be taught, or if it's an innate ability. Kind of weird to imagine Combustor Man having a wife and kids, but you never know. So that seems to be, they seem to be the villains. No indication yet what their deal is, why they were imprisoned, what they tried to do before, what they might try to do now. None of that has been established. But it's a short season, only 13 episodes. So my guess is that tomorrow we're going to get at least some answers in regards to that. Also, when the prison in the Fire Nation, because there's one in each nation, kind of, when the one in the Fire Nation is broken out of, we get to see Zuko. Which it's wonderful. It's just wonderful to see him back and looking good for someone who's 86. And he has a dragon. So the scenes with him are just great, especially when he goes to the Northern Water Tribe and visits the twins. I'm glad to see the twins back in this. There's one of my favorite moments is when he just says, this bender located in the secret ice fortress prison of yours can bend fire with her mind. I once hired a man with a similar ability to kill the Avatar. Pause. It didn't work. It's the perfect comedic timing on that. So it's great to see the twins back. Great to see Zuko here. Wonder if there's going to be. Wonder if we're going to get a scene with him and Katara at some point. A lot of rumors flying around about how because of things that were said in the Fortune Teller episode in Last Airbender, Korra's going to die in this season. Little too early to say. We haven't even... Sorry, not Korra. What am I saying? Katara. Little early for that. We haven't even seen Katara yet. She wasn't in the trailer. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the next book. So as far as all that goes, as far as the villains are concerned, we really just have to wait and see at this point. But in terms of Korra and the gang, the real turn comes when they visit the Earth King. They go to, or the Earth Queen rather. They go to Ba Sing Se, and they find out that nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed since Aang was there. It's still corrupt as hell. The monarchy is totally disconnected from the people. There's massive income equality, obvious, social disparity. The only difference seems to be that the Dai Li seem to actually be directly working for the Empress, and not for some shadowy puppet figure. But that's really the only difference, and that's a slight one because the Earth Queen is basically, she's a female Long Fang. Like, she's just as ruthless and merciless and cunning. But what we find out is that the airbenders that showed up in Ba Sing Se have been disappearing. Now, the Earth Queen, of course, claims that there never were any airbenders. Korra and Mako and Bolin and the others say that's not true because they got reports. And what we find out at the end is that they're being kidnapped for her army. There are hints there that are building up to a conflict between her and the United Republic. Because her first scene, she openly expresses her disdain for its existence because it was carved out of Earth Kingdom territory. Spoiler alert for anyone who has not read The Promise, but they explained that in Book 1 of Korra anyway, so I'm not too worried about spoiling that. Yeah, so it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see the Earth Queen. Interesting to see the conflict being built up there. And the way we find out about the Airbenders being kidnapped is Bolin and Mako go out to find one of the few airbenders who joined them, this little kid who claims he's an orphan. He probably is an orphan, but he's also apparently a criminal. So his choice was basically jail or go with the Avatar. So he sneaks off just so he can start robbing people in the upper ring of the city, and gets kidnapped. And basically, like immediately, like he uses his airbending to help him steal from people, makes him an obvious target, and you know it's going to happen. Like he's surrounded by the Dai Li. This kid's an idiot, but it is such a cool scene when he gets captured because he goes down an alleyway and you just see the Dai Li appear there, and then another one appears behind him. Oh man, those stone fists are just awesome. That favorite use of waterbending is the water arms. Favorite use of earthbending are those Dai Li fists. There's so much they do with that. So he gets kidnapped, and in trying to find him, Mako and Bolin stumble across their dad's extended family. Because as we sort of knew from the previous seasons, dad was an earthbender, mother was a firebender. So they meet their extended family, and actually have, I think, a really nice scene with the grandmother. And it's a return to form, I think, for the franchise. Because what this franchise has always done well is, even when they've gone for a scene or a plot twist that has been kind of conventional, just happening to run into your extended family of your dead dad or mother or whatever, even when they go for something that's kind of conventional and kind of standard, it always feels genuine. It doesn't feel like they're half-assing it. I really do like that scene. It'll be interesting to see where it goes, because they seem to kind of set up the conflict within Ba Sing Se, because the grandmother loves the Earth Queen. We get the idea that there's a portrait in the house, and we have to assume that most houses have the Earth Queen's portrait. And she seems to have this cult of personality that her dad never did. By the way, another guy, the Earth King from Last Airbender, another guy I never pictured having a wife and kids. Not that I thought he was like gay or anything like that. I that was someone I could not imagine having a family at all, for whatever reason. So it'll be interesting. Again, just the first 3 episodes. We really just have to kind of wait and see where everything builds from here, which we'll get a lot tomorrow. 2 episodes every week until August, which I'm okay with. A little rushed, but it's fine with me. So what do I think? Honestly, I feel much more secure with this season than with the last 2. Because, book 1, brief summation, book 1 I really liked. Book 2, I think was good, but had so many problems that really held it back. And a lot of the warning signs were there in the first 2 episodes. Even, I would have to go back and rewatch my vlog for that, but even after the first 2 episodes, I was seeing the signs of, I think we're going to get some regression in this season, and we did. I don't see any of those warning signs here. Korra is still, more hot-headed and aggressive, but she seems more mature, and I like the fact that the connection to the past avatars is still broken. I'm still not convinced it's permanent, but it is. She is starting out with something less, which is how book 1 should have ended, and that's how I think it would have ended if Nickelodeon had not, jerked Mike and Brian around on a string. So I like the fact that she really is finally forced to confront her own weaknesses, her own failings, and also just her own limitations as the Avatar. Just being the Avatar is not enough for her to get away. It's not enough for her to convince people to go with her. It's just not enough. And she is finally being forced to really deal with that. And I like it. As long as, she doesn't go to the Earth Kingdom army and try to get them to commit mutiny. Anyway, so I don't see any warning signs. I'm finally getting I'm finally starting to really enjoy the bits that we get with Korra and her friends. I've always liked Tenzin and his family and the other side characters, but it's taken me a while to really warm to the Korra, Asami, Bolin, Mako group. Not that Asami is still one of my favorite characters in the show. It looks like she is going to be around a lot more this book than she was in the last one. Still kind of pulling for her and Bolin to get together, but my girlfriend pointed this out, and Rob Walker pointed this out too on That Guy with the Glasses. Asami and Korra would also make a pretty cute couple. I only wish that would happen. That would actually be pretty that would be like Tarlock killing Amon level ballsy for this show if they were to go there. But we'll see. So I like the fact that we get more of Asami. I really like the dynamic with her and Korra really seems to be clicking in a way that it wasn't before. I like that. It's nice to see sort of Mako and Bolin get time on their own, which we really did not have much of thus far. It's really just been them with Korra. And we've never gotten a sense of how they are or how they were when they were on their own. So I'd like to think we're going to get a little bit more of that before they're reunited with everyone, which they inevitably will be. And I'm excited to see what the deal with the villains is. But the scene with Zuko, this is the one concern I had. Not a concern, more of an observation. The scene with Zuko, or the scenes with Zuko, made me realize something, and that is that for me, I don't know if this is just me, but for me at least, the stuff about Korra that has always been the most exciting has been the stuff not related to Korra herself, but rather all the stuff tenuously connected to The Last Airbender. Seeing Zuko, seeing Zuko's grandson, seeing Toph's daughter, getting a flashback where we see grown-up Aang, grown-up Sokka, and grown-up Toph. Seeing the Bison return, seeing the interactions between Aang's children, and through that getting a sense of what kind of parents Aang and Katara were. Whenever we have scenes with Katara. Are even beginnings. Which is not connected to Last Airbender, but it's part of it's a history. It's like a history series on the origin of this universe, and that has always been the stuff that has been the most exciting for me in this series so far. And I don't think it makes the show bad. It doesn't make Korra herself a bad character. It doesn't mean that I dislike her or the fact that this is her show. I think it's a testament to the fact that The Last Airbender was just so good that it can't help but kind of overshadow this one just a little bit. I mean, like, admit it, the thrill you get when you see Zuko for the first time, mid-80s Zuko, is, I think, more, for me, and I think for a lot of people, more potent than most of the other really good moments we've had in the show so far, just because it's a direct character from The Last Airbender. And I think it's just a testament to how good The Last Airbender was that it kind of can't help but overshadow the show. If for a follow-up series they'd gone with a prequel, something like, I don't know, a century or two before Aang's birth and before the Roku's conflict and before the start of the war, it would not have had that baggage. But this one has the inevitable baggage of not only being a follow-up series to The Last Airbender, but taking place after the events of that show, and therefore having to include characters and elements and throwbacks and references to that original show, like they had to. Otherwise, this would not have felt like it's taking place in the same universe. So, again, nothing that I think detracts from Legend of Korra in and of itself, just an observation I've had. Although, I think this season is looking pretty solid, that I think if they really nail this book and the next book and give us the big conclusion that they say they're building up to, that Mike and Ryan have said they want to do, I think the series will end up being just fine and have a perfectly good legacy in its own right. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the first 3 episodes. Next 2 air tomorrow. Really excited. I will try to be much quicker by getting my next vlog out. And then I think, again, like last time, once the book as a whole is done, I'll do another wrap-up here and also on my written blog. Yeah, so stay tuned till tomorrow night.